Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Next Man Up, where we have average guys sharing their average takes on all professional sports. Today's a little bit of a video, an improv video per se. We weren't really planning to discuss this, but we're gonna do it because it sparked a little debate, and I think we'll get some good laughs and some good hot takes and some great content out of it. So the subject came up last night about Tom Brady as a professional. And as reluctant as I am to speak on this subject because I am a Tom Brady hater, we debated if he was a sore loser, a diva, however you want to put it, when it comes to certain things that go his way in terms of being a professional in the sport. I am going to straight up say that I think he's probably one of the best. Before we start bashing Tom Brady, he's arguably the best quarterback to ever play, and I'm leaning towards he's probably in more so than he is not the best quarterback to ever play. Having said that, he might be the worst loser and priss to ever win as many Super Bowls as he ever has. That is literally, I've never seen a bigger crybaby who's won 6 rings than Tom Brady. When one little thing doesn't go his way, he either completely deflects the question when it comes to press conferences. He complains to the referee and tells him to fuck off, or he tells his teammates to fuck off and they all turn away and don't listen to him. He's such a baby when he gets hit, when things don't go his way, when he doesn't complete a pass, when he gets picked off, when one little thing goes wrong, it's a fucking mess. I'm sure no one feels as strongly as I do about that, but I
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm in the AFC East too. I've been dealing with Tom Brady. I'm just as much of a Tom Brady hater as you are. Like, do you not see me slow nod? I nodded for your entire intro, bro. I literally nodded the entire time.
But we have someone in a disgusting Tampa Bay Bucks jersey.
So gross.
That feels completely the other way.
Yep, listen.
I wanted a Tom Brady jersey.
Yeah, here we go. So, listen, I'm a New York Giants fan. I'm someone who honestly gets so much satisfaction out of seeing the New England Patriots lose. I love seeing them lose those 2 Super Bowls. But I do think that Tom Brady is not as big as a sore loser as people make him out to be. I think the media portrays him like that. And I'm going to listen, Michael Jordan's a prime example. Media doesn't like to see people who dominate at something. People only like to find the negatives and good things in this society. And you guys totally agree with me on this concept. Michael Jordan got blamed basically for his father's death. They accuse him for being a gambler and basically responsible for his father's death. That's just, one example, which is, more horrifying than we're going to talk about here with Brady. But my point is, we talked about last night how Tom Brady has a tendency to not shake, other QB's hands when he loses football games. We can all agree on that. We've all seen it. And it tends to be the quarterbacks that are less elite in the league. Nick Foles, right. We're going to go visit. Let's go visit the Eagles Super Bowl, where we really got a glimpse of this. But it's not the first time he did. He did to Eli Manning also.
It's not even only disrespectful to the player. That's just disrespectful to the game.
Well,
just the integrity.
Let me get into this. So, both Super Bowls, Tom Brady lost to Eli. He was not seen at all shaking Eli's hand. There's nothing, not a single lick of evidence that he showed any, congratulations toward him on video. That's the key word here. Same thing with Nick Foles. He loses to Nick Foles on not a single thing of celebration, no congratulations on live video. But what people leave out to that story is Tom Brady actually congratulated Eagles players basically at the stadium, but the media did not show it. Fletcher Cox, prime example. Tom Brady confronted Fletcher Cox after he lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, basically moments after the game was over and concluded, and congratulated him for the win. Another person he congratulated was rookie defensive end Derek Barnett. He also congratulated in the tunnel exiting the stadium. Congratulations. The media caught none of that. All they focused on was Nick Foles standing on the field by himself. They did not focus on Brady congratulating other players. It was not caught on any sort of video. And I just think they portrayed him to keep that trend of not congratulating quarterbacks. Has he done it? Absolutely. But then again, you go to the press conferences, right? People have asked him, well, why didn't you congratulate Nick Foles? Tom Brady makes his claims. It could be whatever, he believes or says it is. You can believe him or not. But Tom Brady said that, listen, he has great respect for Nick Foles and called him a Super Bowl champ. They went over to Nick Foles and asked him about it. Nick Foles isn't fazed by it at all.
Yeah, but see,
He's just like, listen.
Tom Brady's answers are so condescending. Like
his
his press conferences are so condescending.
But again, look at that. That's sportsmanship that was left out in the media. They did not even cover it. On top of that, let's go visit the AFC Championship game that he lost to against Patrick Mahomes. You didn't see him congratulate anyone on the field. Again, he does his typical storm off to the locker room. Media doesn't cover anything. But then it's when Andy Reid steps out and makes it public that actually Tom Brady went and visited Patrick Mahomes after the game and talked to him privately and congratulated him and said the kind words to him. And then Patrick Mahomes recently talked about what was said in that locker room. And Tom Brady gave him hats off to it. Listen, when you're that big of a competitor, you don't take losing lightly. You saw with Michael Jordan, he screamed at his teammates, but we're going to focus on football. And another quarterback that actually walked off the field without congratulating the other quarterback and screams at his players, Peyton Manning, did the same exact thing when he lost to the Saints in 2010. Did not go up to Drew Brees after the game. He went straight to the locker room, but no one made a big deal of it because it's Peyton Manning. We all love Peyton. Peyton's a stand-up guy. He's a great sport. But he had a moment where he was upset at what had happened. He just lost a hardly fought Super Bowl. He went straight to the locker room. There was nothing that he did to go up to Drew Brees, but the media made nothing of it. Just let him do whatever. Also recently, you see videos of Peyton Manning screaming his head off at his lineman for not blocking. That's just being competitive, boys. You can ask any single player in the NFL, do you respect Peyton Manning? They're like, oh yeah, they love him. It's that competitive nature that it comes off as sulking and as whining. But when it comes down to it, they want to win games. I want to open it to the floor, and I want to see what you guys
I have
say.
a quick counterpoint.
Absolutely.
So I looked up a video today. It's got like over 1 million views. It's called NFL Temper Tantrums. And you have the AB freak out. Sean, you want to go through that whole AB freak out? Because I'm sure you remember it. You're a bigger fan of the Steelers than I'm ever going to be. So you want to go through that AB freak out, please, and then I'll go back to the point.
Well, AB absolutely freaked out on the sidelines. Threw his helmet, kicked some coolers, threw some coolers, as we all know. Although I will give AB a pass because his brain is so addled because of that Vontaze Burfict hit. Vontaze Burfict literally ended that man's career.
Well, so it's a good thing. You gave him slack. You know who didn't give him slack? The announcer. I was watching, and he goes, "This is just a classic young player temper tantrum, blah, 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 blah." Then 2 cuts later, it's Tom Brady bitching at his teammates. And you know what the commentator says, Tom? The commentator says, "Oh, Tom Brady still got that competitive fire. It's not a temper tantrum when Tom Brady at the age of 39 is bitching at his teammates. But when AB is going around yelling on the sideline, it's a freak out." But no, Tom Brady does it. It's, oh, he's got that competitive fire. The old man's still got it. So I don't know if the media really hates him that much, or at least the announcers don't.
They do. You look up every article on handshaking. The guy comes up, and honestly, AB, you could talk to coaches in the locker room about AB. What AB does on the field, he also brings to off the field, how he acts. You can't even use AB as a comparison. AB was accused of multiple accusations of stuff that he just shouldn't have been doing, but we're not going to get into that. Tom Brady, if you're going to take out on Tom Brady how he acts on the field, you're going to have to hold Peyton Manning to the same standard. And honestly, I love Peyton Manning. I would never say that Peyton Manning's a bad sport. I would never say that he was a bad teammate. But Tom Brady has, honestly, when it comes down to it, Tom Brady has won more games. He's been to 9 Super Bowls. Peyton's been to 4. So we've seen more episodes of these high-stake games that Brady loses his shit for, to be quite honest with you. But the thing is,
more of a diva.
But the thing is, Tom Brady has displayed numerous situations of him respecting other players that has not been caught on footage.
Tom Brady.
And it's a big thing.
Tom Brady wouldn't even teach his young quarterbacks in Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett how to be NFL quarterbacks. They were on his team, and he wouldn't teach them how to be NFL quarterbacks.
But in what sense? Where's the
They both
where's
literally
the
said that he didn't help them train. He wouldn't he gave them the bare minimum tips that he had to. He didn't do it. Quarterbacks, when they get old, they take the young guys and they train them how to do it. I'm sure Big Ben tried with Mason Rudolph, but that's a lost cause. But
yeah, listen,
you're supposed to train your young quarterbacks, and he couldn't even do that.
yeah, but again, not a single one of them are still there. And
They
honestly,
left because he wouldn't help them.
no, this is a great point. No, it's not. They left because Kraft decided to do off with them. This goes on to my next point. Bill Belichick wanted Brady gone and wanted Garoppolo to be the successor. He was done with Brady. He didn't want him. But it was Kraft that wanted him to stay because Kraft knows that Tom Brady, you're just never going to get another guy like Tom Brady. He's one of the best winners in NFL history. It's not even a question. But Brady did not once say anything poorly about Belichick for how he talked about him, for I wanted him out, that he chose Jimmy Garoppolo over him. Instead, he came out the next season and played football. He was respectful, didn't give no controversy. When Tom Brady gives press conferences, okay, his answers are weird. I will give you guys that. But he does not say anything to point fingers at anyone else on the field.
Adjective.
Well, no, listen, when does he point fingers at someone on the field? A bad sport.
We can dive into the play game right now if you want to. If you really want to.
Start looking
someone
up your
doesn't
videos.
catch a pass.
You literally, honestly, he goes out, he plays the game, and he holds himself to that standard. Yes, he yells at his teammates. All of us are competitive people. We've never yelled at someone to get their shit together to start playing the game. We've all been there. We've all done it. It's just this is caught on camera. Doesn't make you a bad person or a poor teammate. That's just called getting the most out of your teammates to play football. And even his press conferences, he doesn't say anything. Even with Bruce Arians has been talking smack about him the whole year. How Brady is not playing the football he needs to be playing. But Tom Brady responds that he feels like him and Arians have a good relationship. Actually, great is what he said, and that he respects him as a leader. Brady's not a disrespectful guy that he comes off the field and talks down about the people around him at all.
Well, he doesn't do that.
Exactly.
Nick, I want to hear your opinion on this because you've been relatively silent.
Well, yeah, I'm just listening, absorbing, the information. I will say as an answer to Tom's point about in regards to the Super Bowl, there is actually an article. USA Today wrote an article in 2018 after the Super Bowl, documenting the fact that Tom Brady went to shake hands with Barnett and, congratulated him and other Eagles players. But to me, we put so much emphasis on the quarterback position. I mean, you're under center, you're leading the team. You are, in effect, a leader. That is inherently the role of the quarterback, conducting the offense and just being a general, figure that everybody looks to for some guidance. To me, especially if we contextualize it where he normally doesn't shake hands with quarterbacks that he, whether he considers them lesser or, the media considers them lesser, there's obviously a disparity between the upper echelons of QBs in the NFL right now and those that are not considered elite. As far as I'm concerned, I understand Tom's point about being competitive. I understand the point about Tom Brady being the winningest QB or one of the most winning QBs in NFL history. That's undeniable. He's a phenomenal player. He is generational talent. He has left his mark on the game. And with that comes a responsibility. As far as I'm concerned, when you're that great, when you're considered the GOAT, there needs to be a reverence back to the game. You need to understand your greatness and you need to understand the footprint that you have left on the game. And to me, that involves not only shaking hands with the likes of Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and more up and coming guys that are elite QBs, for example, Patrick Mahomes. You obviously have a responsibility to go to those guys and congratulate them because they're playing phenomenal football. But when, for example, a couple weeks ago, when the Bucs played the Bears and the Bears beat them, Again, Tom Brady did not go out to shake Nick Foles' hand. Now, is Nick Foles an elite QB? He had his time. He's not an elite QB. He's a glorified starting quarterback. He's a backup quarterback. To me, that's just another example of a continuing character flaw in Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being competitive because that is what makes you good. You need to have that competitive edge. But as we referenced the AB versus Tom Brady reaction by the announcer.
Yeah.
He is given a break in how he is perceived, in the sense that he's wise, he's mature, he's been playing the game. That's a competitive spark.
Yeah.
But you cannot use that competitive spark as an excuse to not give the mutual respect that is deserved of guys who are playing on NFL teams, because it's not as though they did not make the league. They are playing in the same league as you. They may not be as elite as you, but they are on the same platform. And so for me, Tom Brady, time and time again, coupled with every game, realistically, every game when it's not going his way, he has always got something to say, whether it's his fault or someone else's fault.
Just like every
all
other
of that
QB
together, to me,
every other QB in the league does it.
But
hands down.
But to me, as
Zoomed on him the most.
also you reference Peyton Manning.
Peyton
Manning. I can't necessarily recall a time besides that 2010 game where he did not shake someone's hand, but there's also a difference to be made in terms of yelling at your players on your own team. Peyton Manning going up to his old lineman and saying, "Block for me." That to me is different than spouting off at every other person on the field. Those are your guys. You are allowed to get that.
Coaches.
Listen, there's also evidence of Peyton Manning screaming at his own tight end. Same exact thing. So
to me, screaming at your teammates.
Yeah.
I would find that no matter who you are, more acceptable than spouting off to everybody on the field or not giving mutual respect to the competitor that ended up besting you. So to me, the perfect storm of everything that Tom Brady has given us on the field. And listen, you're right. The cameras are not always where they need to be. And I'm sure Tom Brady's a decent person, as a person off the field. I mean, he obviously is a classy guy.
Yeah.
But on the field, I think that he does not do his status as the GOAT justice in the way that he acts sometimes. And I do think, just like many other sports stars across professional sports league, I'll say Ronaldo, I'll say LeBron, these are guys that are in positions like no other people in their respective sports. And they do it a disservice, that position that they're in that upper echelon, by acting the way that they do in front of fans, in front of coaches, in front of other players. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's okay to be competitive. But when you take that and use it as an excuse to act what I'll say is immaturely, that does not do you a service. That does not do your teammates a service. And it doesn't do the sport a service, because you would be put there in that position.
Yeah, listen, every player complains about calls. Everyone does. And Tom
more than others, though. That's the point.
It's still, but the only argument I'm hearing here from you guys is Tom Brady complains and he yells.
That's the argument.
That's such a bad argument.
When stuff doesn't go his way, he takes it. He curses at officials. He curses
again. So does so many QBs do that same exact thing. You guys have to have more evidence of him not being a good teammate. I'll bring up another situation where he's a good teammate. Do you know how many years Tom Brady's taken pay cuts so that he could sign better players on his teams to win games? No one talks about that. He made.
I don't think the argument we're trying to make is if he's a bad teammate or not. I think we're trying to say
if he's a good sport. So a good sport means respecting your teammates and other players around the league. That's what being a good sport means. And he does respect players. He's shown evidence in, press conferences, off the camera, that he has respected people that he has lost to. It might not be immediately. He might need time to cool down, but he does end up giving people the respect they deserve. Him and Eli joke on Twitter all the time about how Eli beat him twice. And he takes it, he takes it fine now.
Yeah, because Eli's not in the league anymore, so he's not a threat.
Well, doesn't matter. Eli Manning, by no stretch of the imagination, is any near the eliteness of Peyton Manning, of Drew Brees, of Aaron Rodgers. He's just not there. But again, Tom Brady respects what Eli did. He also respects what Nick Foles did. He's made that very clear. Immediately, I agree with you guys. He does not go and show the respect that he should. But he does end up doing it.
That's what he needs to do.
Everyone has a different way. And honestly, at the end of the day,
it's literally every quarterback goes out on the field and shakes hands with the quarterback after the game. It's not like there are instances where people don't do it, but like 9 times out of 10, you fucking do it. So like the fact that there's time and time again where he's in those scenarios, it's not a great look. It doesn't look good when you win and then you lose and all of a sudden it's this I'm going off the field and it's not.
He goes to
You have a certain pedigree.
Yeah, but he lost.
There's a pedigree.
And honestly, again, the media is up in your face when you're doing it. It's not really personal when you're talking to someone and congratulating someone. There's a camera right up in your face. You can't even have a good conversation, to be quite honest with you. That's why I respect what we did with Mahomes so much more, is because he did it off camera. He wasn't looking for the publicity for it. He wanted it to be genuine.
I don't think he looks for the publicity. I'm not saying that he's
not at all.
He's he needs to be in front of the camera. Frankly, I don't think he cares, because if he cared enough about optics or doing the decent thing, he would have, for example, gone up on field and shaken Nick Foles' hand after the Super Bowl. I mean, like, think about it this way. There's a similar relationship interaction between two head coaches. And I very seldom, I would be hard pressed to find a time that two coaches, for example, I mean, just in the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl, Belichick got bested by someone who right now is literally getting his head called for after consecutive seasons of downturn after winning a Super Bowl, Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson is not the same kind of coach as Bill Belichick, but they were out there shaking hands and congratulating one another. I mean, Bill Belichick
I agree with where you're coming from. I agree with where you're coming from.
I'm saying if two head coaches who battle it out, who arguably have a greater respect.
Yeah, but we're not talking about head coaches. We're talking about Tom Brady specifically. We're talking about the sportsmanship.
But I'm saying the relationship is the same. And if you have that pedigree where Tom Brady is the GOAT, just like Bill Belichick is the GOAT, and Bill Belichick has enough maturity and grace to go out there and accept that he was bested either by coaching or by some miracle, and he still gives the reverence that Doug Peterson deserves for winning the most important championship in an NFL season. As far as I'm concerned, Tom Brady can go out there and do that. And if he wants to go after and tell Nick Foles in a more genuine way what he wants to say to him, congratulate him.
We don't know what he said to Nick Foles. There's no, I can't find articles of any contact.
You're right. So we don't know if he did, and we don't know if he did.
But we know 2 instances of Eagle players that he did congratulate, and we do know that he said nothing but positive things about Nick Foles when he's been asked about it.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it has to do with the action and lack of action. The lack of action to me is more disrespectful than him still going to other Eagles players, because it's almost as if he cannot face someone that he does not think is worthy of him in terms of eliteness as QBs. Because, I mean, think about it. Carson Wentz that whole season balled out. He brought the Eagles to the playoffs, and he took himself out, and you had Nick Foles come in and all of a sudden ball out at a level that nobody thought that he could possibly reach. And then he goes in and takes down the New England Patriots, who are in the midst of one of the greatest postseason runs in this. I'm saying in terms of longevity, not necessarily that season. Like, they have just been absolutely dominating the postseason, coming from the AFC East and always making the playoffs and going to 9 Super Bowls. That's unprecedented. It is currently unprecedented, because we would be hard pressed to find that happening, I think, anytime soon, because that was a dynasty. Yeah. So for Tom Brady to be at the helm of that, to have those championships, to have that, like I said, I keep bringing up this pedigree. He has a certain weight that he has to carry with him because of the level that he plays with. And with that comes a certain level of mutual respect, maturity, and grace that you need to bring as not only a leader under center, as a representative of the team, but as someone who needs to recognize that this was the highest level of competition in that NFL season, and he was bested. And by not going out and shaking Nick Foles' hand, and this is just the biggest one because it's on the biggest stage. That's why we're focusing on it. But there are plenty of instances on like a regular season basis that he's doing this similarly.
He did to Eli twice, and Peyton Manning did it to Drew Brees. So I don't define myself going directly to a locker room after a loss as disrespecting another player. I look at it as if they need time to cool down. And Brady has shown in the past that he does congratulate and come around to players when he has his mind set at ease, because it's not easy to lose at that high stakes of a game.
You guys know
different mentality than everyone else that plays that game of football. That's why he's won 6 Super Bowls. He's been to 9. And again, He's taking pay cuts. He's taking receivers on vacation to develop better chemistry between the two of them, and he's housing AB right now for this NFL season. I think Tom Brady is a good sport. He's a
No, that's not the. I'm not
Yeah.
focusing on him as a teammate. I think he,
But as
and like
a
I said,
teammate, also goes with being a good sport. That's part
But
of
it's
it.
a different
You can't just point about
relationship.
Nick Foles
It's
and him
totally
not shaking
different. There's
hands.
two different
That's
things
the only
to do there.
argument you guys have is just him not shaking hands with QBs. It's all you guys talk about.
He also
That he complains about calls.
So
That's what
Sean,
other quarterbacks have done in history.
I want Sean to get his final thoughts in because we're running out of time. So Sean, give me your conclusion on everything, and feel free to bring up Deflategate and how he handled that, because I'm going to if you don't.
So, I am a certified Tom Brady hater. I do not like that man. I grudgingly respect him.
No,
I
you
do-
guys don't. You guys don't respect them. If you respect them,
No, I don't. You're right.
Time to see stuff. And honestly, watch a Tom versus Time documentary. That really opens your eyes as an NFL fan. But continue.
I do not think that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I
Oh,
think
whoa! Get the buzzer!
Different-
Oh God,
different-
get the buzzer!
No, we're not doing it. We have literally like 3 minutes left. We're not arguing about who's the greatest of all
I
time.
do think that he's the most accomplished quarterback of all time. And I will say Tom Brady definitely has a sore loser streak. However, I don't think that sore loser streak is anything that defines him and who he is as a football player. Like, he is, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things when it comes to his football career.
Sean hit it on the head.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap it up with Tom made some great points about his competitiveness. There's no doubt that Tom Brady really has a fire under his ass when it comes to being competitive. That's a no doubter. I've watched him my whole life, as is Nick. He's always going to be a competitor. Not knocking his ability on the field, not knocking his achievements on the field, because he's arguably the greatest in my opinion. It's just the way he handles himself in certain situations and certain actions, like deflating footballs and not claiming he didn't know about it, and addressing the media and deflecting questions and answers. That's not great. And like it's just I would say there's some actions that get caught on camera as opposed to other players that don't get caught on, but some of the stuff like cursing out a coach and Bill O'Brien when he throws an interception, yelling at his teammates when they drop passes, which is unacceptable, but it's just it's kind of demeaning to a guy who's probably not that great anyways, because he's never had a great wide receiving core up until he got to Tampa Bay. Like imagine like crapping on Chris Hogan, who played lacrosse 2 years ago, and you're like cursing him out and yelling at him.
Yeah, then don't play football if you can't catch a
Well,
football.
I agree, but it's just so demeaning from a person who's won so much and should be doing things. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of Next Man Up. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NextManUp05. Follow the SportsMe, download SportsMe, Next Man Up Sports Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube. Nick, hit us with the like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a good one.